Well, it's a funny story actually, because I didn't know about the CACR Masters program when I signed up for it, because I was doing my honours degree in cross-cultural psychology, and on the back of one of my assignments, Colleen Ward, she was the associate director at the time, she wrote on the back, hey, you should consider doing the Masters program, you know, I think you would be really interested in this. And I was like, oh, okay. So I looked it up afterwards and I was like, oh, this sounds like something I'd really be into, but I had been planning to go overseas. So while I was overseas, I was in email contact with Colleen because I was encountering all this cultural stuff, and so I'd ask her, hey, could I do this and could I do that? And she's like, yeah, we could integrate it in this way. And yeah, so it was a long-term development really, and then I just segued between my honours into my master's degree and realised that I'd signed up for a lot more than I realised, but in a good way, because there were all these peripheral things that I didn't know about. Like, for example, I didn't know that there was a lab that met every week and had special speakers and stuff like that. And so it was a pleasant surprise. I just thought I was doing some research. So yeah, I didn't really know that much about it when I signed up for it, which is kind of funny, but I'm really glad that I did. It kind of all started because every lab starts off with an introduction of every person. So you come in and you show your baby photos. You go, this is my cultural background and this is what I'm interested in. And then they have speakers come in every week on various topics. And they really emphasised the students to take hold of every opportunity, so to speak. So they would offer you, we have this project, who wants to be on it? We have this kind of workshop or this forum, and you go, oh wow, okay. And I think that was a really good thing because it made it very real, very applied, because for me, in my experience anyway, university's very academic. That sounds really obvious, but you sit in front of a computer most of the time. So to actually get an experience to talk to researchers and to the wider sort of research public, it was really good. And one of the things that I did was, again with Colleen, she found out about this crazy study. It was an international study that was looking at cultural differences in social norms. And she essentially asked me if I wanted to go around Wellington and break a whole lot of social norms for this study. I was like, okay, I'm going to say yes, even though I don't really know what I'm agreeing to. And it turned out to be a year-long project that was a collaboration between Victoria, the University of Maryland, and the University of Bremen in Germany. So it was this huge international study, 50 or so different countries, and we all got to go around our cities and essentially explore New Zealand culture in terms of social norms. So I got to go out and put my feet on a table at a cafe and see how people responded. I had to break cues, and the last one I had to play a Bee Gees song really loudly in the library. Yeah, and see how people respond. And then, but I wasn't allowed to tell them it was a study because that was a part of the thing. So I had to just take it essentially. And people were like, can you turn the music down or can you take your feet off? And I go, okay, sorry. And then they'd walk away and I'd quickly write down my notes. And so that was a very, I think that's a very different kind of research to what most people do, in the sense that you get to interact with the thing that you're researching. So that was really different and opened my eyes to a whole lot of things that I didn't know before, and it was really useful for tutorials as well. My students loved it. They're like, oh really, what happened? I'm like, oh, you don't want to know. And I had to wear these glasses with a camera in them that recorded everything. So I think that was a really good example of how research is advancing, especially in terms of studying culture, because it is so hard to study. It's so big and vague, and so it was a really good opportunity to be part of something that new, in a sense. And that was just one example of a multitude of other things. What else have I done? Intercultural training. I have been part of an intercultural training program where I go with Dr. Jamie Stewart and a colleague of mine, Renita, and we go and we hold these training programs for various organisations, NGOs, companies, and teach them what we know, in a sense, which again is really nice to actually see what you do in action. And because it's easy to get the perception when you're at university that the more you learn, the more you realise how little you know. So you're like, oh God, I don't know anything, I'm going to leave here. And then to actually be able to go out and share that information with other people, you go, actually, yeah, this is really useful and I can do this. Definitely. I actually recently got a job working as a behavioural science researcher, and part of the interview process was I had to give a 10-minute presentation on my expertise. Luckily, I've done that a million times with the lab anyway, so it was just a reiteration of it. But yeah, they were all so enthralled by the novelty of it, because I imagine they had a lot of other social science psychology students come in and talk about, you know, I can do research in that, research in this. And so I came in and I think I was the only one that had a focus on culture. And so the first thing I asked them was, what do you think cross-cultural psychology is? Because I feel that a lot of people, you know, have a slight misconception in the sense that they think we study cultures and we go to different cultures and we go, what do people eat? How do people dance? That kind of thing. And that's a component, but a small component. And so I had the pleasure of delivering this presentation, essentially saying that culture is in everything that we do, and everyone has culture. Culture shapes the way that we structure our lives, the way that we structure our roads, the kinds of street signs we have, the way that we have our coat hangers in shops is a cultural thing. So I got to see that development happen, and I think it was without it, I don't think I would have been as confident in the interview for sure. And I ended up getting the job.